Hi, this is Father Louis Skirty, and today we're talking about sin. Yes. Let me define sin from the words of the Catechism of the Catholic Church very succinctly. An offense against God, as well as a fault against reason, truth, and right conscience. Sin is a deliberate thought, word, deed, or omission contrary to the eternal law of God. In judging the gravity of sin, it is customary to distinguish between mortal and venial sins. There's much more to be said about that, but I think that's pretty succinct. But I got something even better and more succinct. This is from Jack. Jack was preparing for his first communion, and his grandmother thought it would be a great idea to send this in to me, a copy of his definition of sin. And I thought I'd share it with you because from a child's perspective, is that theology, how real. Jack was preparing for First Communion, and he was asked, what is sin? A sin is when you know something is wrong and you do the wrong thing. However, if you are 4 or younger, it is not a sin. Your conscience is a voice in your head. I never heard my conscience. That's his definition of sin. I don't want to put that aside because I think it's so important. Conscience, the voice within. Maybe at this age he doesn't have a familiarity with that voice within. But I think all of us know that when hitting hurts, it's a sin. So that starts pretty young in our lives. Even 4 or 5 years old, when I hit somebody and I know it hurts and I do it again, that's a sin. And that's one of the developmental stages that we all go through. And to know that what I do hurts someone is a sin. Globally, universally, it's a sin against God. God is the creator, made us in his image, and we are challenged to be God-like to each other. We can't do miracles. We can't create. We can't do all the wonderful things that God has done for us. But in our humanity, we can live God-like. And let's go back to the definition. An offense against God as well as a fault against reason, truth, and right conscience. You know your conscience. Whether you are 4 or older, or whether you're an adult. We know what's right and wrong, and sometimes we're caught in that dilemma. And I think it's important for us, through prayer, to make that decision, to make that choice, to realize sometimes we have to choose between 2 lesser than perfect experiences. I think it's important to pray and decipher and discern our actions. When we're choosing to do something there's an offense against my conscience, offense against my God, offense against a neighbor, when it's an offense against reason and truth. That seems like great philosophy, doesn't it? But you know the truth. We all know the truth. And if we don't know the truth, we have to inform our consciences as to what the truth is on a particular matter, about a particular issue. I'm not going to mention any actions that are sinful. We can talk about that subsequently someday. But specifically, the attitude is important. To have an attitude that is in concert with God, to have an attitude that is in harmony with God, doesn't go against our reason. Because God gave us a brain. God gave us a way to figure it out. God gave us a way to create, to physically, to get on the moon. He gave us the ability to fight cancer. He gave us the ability to develop vaccines for various illnesses. That's our brains, our gift of reason and discernment, gift of God. So take that to the most common event in our lives. We need to use our reason. I got to figure it out. I can't do what's easy, and I can't do what's convenient, and I can't do what's pleasurable. That's not the criteria. Truth, reason, and conscience are criteria. And if I deliberately in thought, word, deed, or omission, sin, then we have to call to God for forgiveness. And there are many, many, many sins of omission that we don't even think about. Think about what we could be doing and haven't done. Sin. I'm not caught up too much into a deliberate thought, unless it's an evil thought. If a thought comes, I know I always think of that Jimmy Carter. If I have lust, I've sinned in my mind. I think action, a thought that we entertain and act upon, could be a sinful thought. Thoughts that come in and we let go are not sins, because you got to realize that the devil is pretty important in our lives. Not significant, but important. The devil, Satan, influences us. And where do you think the evil thoughts come from? Where do you think sinful thoughts come from? Where do you think greedy thoughts come from? Our lower levels of humanity, often influenced by Satan, by evil. But we're called to a higher power. We're called to God. We're called to be imitators of the Word of God, Jesus made flesh. So in your thought, words, action, deeds, attitude, be loving, be forgiving, and be Christ-like. This has been Father Louis Skirty sharing some ideas on sin.